Melyssa, it's been a long year. What does it feel like to have your schedule out and to be getting ready to play games?
It feels good. We've been waiting for a year, so it feels good to finally know that we're getting ready to start our season. This group has been working really hard at practice. Since day one we returned, they've been extremely locked in at practice and in the weight room. They've done an excellent job following COVID protocol. You can tell that this group has some unfinished business just by the way they have been going about things.
Andrew Hobner, KZI.
Listen, you talked about the unfinished business there. I mean, version 2 was looking pretty good there for a second going into the season before COVID kind of stalled everything. How do you try as a coach to keep the momentum going there when it looked like that year things were getting back to normal, then COVID happens, and now you have this year here kind of keeping that upward trajectory going from where it's been since you first arrived here?
Yeah, I really don't think I have to do much as a coach. I think they do a great job as a team and just really understanding what they're putting at the forefront. I have two super seniors that thought maybe at St. Mary's last year was their last and final game of their career. I think those two and Maddie Hopper are leading the charge, and the others are following their lead.
Ryan Milano, KWVA.
Coach, with the new recruits of incoming freshmen, that new class coming in such an unpredictable COVID year where you have to navigate so much, and the super seniors coming back for their 5th year as well, how do you navigate getting everyone ready for the season and getting everyone on the field when you didn't necessarily expect for all of these players to be together on the same team?
Yeah, definitely. We have this is the largest roster I've had since I've been here. So the seniors were going to graduate and the freshmen were coming in the following year. Now you have super seniors that are here with new freshmen coming in. I think our team has done a really good job of embracing this situation. I think with us all knowing that things still aren't back to normal and COVID is a very serious thing, and the protocols that we have to really make sure we follow and maintain, that it's going to take all 24 of us. That having a small lineup, I think, would be tough in a year like this. I think for what we're trying to do and the schedule that we're going to play, we need to have a deep, experienced veteran team. And I think that's something that you'll see. Our older athletes are forcing our younger athletes to play at a higher skill level from day one. So I think there's been a lot of positives that have come from it.
James Crapia, the Oregonian.
Missy, will be some of the just inherent challenges of, I realize everything's day to day, but in evaluating the team and putting things together over the next several weeks before conference play, because other than the UCLA-Utah deal at ASU, this is obviously a very different non-conference. There isn't Puerto Vallarta or Palm Springs or Clearwater or one of those, all the major events that you normally go to. These are different events and different kind of schedules. So how do you go about evaluating and deciding on that personnel over the next 3-4 weeks and all the non-conference games?
Yeah, I think we've had a great opportunity to evaluate this team at practice. Obviously, when we get into non-conference and we get to play against somebody besides ourselves, it'll really give us a look, an idea of what this team's going to look like together. Like, I've seen this team split up into 2 teams for a while now, and I think we're all ready to have this team come together as one and play an opponent. I think one thing that we've preached a lot is that, again, everybody on this team holds extreme value, and that in order for us to achieve what we need to do, it's important that we have a strong foundation from the start, and then from there can just continue to build on that foundation weekend after weekend in the non-conference play.
Jordan Brenner, KWVA.
Hey, Coach, I'm just wondering, when you finally do get to hit the field and play another team, what are the, 1 or 2 things that you're going to be looking for above all else? Because, even last year, heading into conference play, there were still things that you were testing out with the group, different lineups, different positions, all that type of stuff. What comes to mind as some of the first couple things you're going to be considering about, lineups, all that type of stuff?
Well, we have a decent idea of what we want to do. We still have a week and a half, but we have a decent idea. I think of non-conference last year, and our lineup changed a lot. And I think you have to do that in non-conference to really figure out what it is and what your team's going to look like. Is you've got to experiment a little bit. What I really like, and I think since day one, our team has been very versatile. We just didn't have the depth, where this year we have the versatility and we have the depth. So I think it allows us to change our hands and give a lot of different looks early and test, and not be afraid to test things out early because of the versatility and the depth. Really, I could tell you that the thing I'm most excited about is just us together as a team getting to play. Like, I think I just want to see us get back on the field and play, and then go from there.
Brandon Cameraman, K-Val.
Missy, obviously, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's been a long time since these players have been able to play softball on the field competitively. Have you seen they love the game of softball. Have you seen anything different with just their approach to the game? And then even for you in this time away from being able to coach the way you normally would, has your passion, has anything about your love of the game changed or maybe increased a little bit?
I love what I do. I love that every day I come to the Jane and this is where I work. I don't consider it work. But when everything got taken away from us, I think all of us have grown up as softball players our whole life. And then obviously us as coaches have had the opportunity to coach. And so you just expect that softball is going to always be there. You expect that we're going to play our non-conference and we're going to travel and we're going to do all these normal things that we've done forever. And then when it got taken away from us, it was tough. That's never happened to us before. And then from there, not knowing if we would get it back, I think it made us realize that I don't think on purpose we took it for granted, but I think all of us took it for granted because we just expected it to be there. And I think now on days when we're tired and we need to put in the work and maybe they're like, gosh, I don't want to do this, or I don't really feel like doing this. They think different because they think, well, I'm so thankful to have this. It could be taken away from me. So I think it allowed us all to reflect a little bit. Sometimes athletes, they put so much pressure on themselves, they don't allow themselves to perform. And then all of a sudden, all these opportunities that they've had their whole career are gone. So now they're going, you know what? I'm going to stop taking these opportunities for granted. I'm going to stop putting pressure on unnecessary pressure on myself, because it's not allowing me to play the game and enjoy the game the way that I want to do it. So I think it allowed us to go back to when we were little and why we started playing softball in the first place, is because we loved what we were doing. We played it for the love of the game, not just all of this recruiting and stuff that goes along with it. I think it allowed us to go back to just the simple game of softball.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
I guess pitching rotation question for you, Missy, in terms of 4 games a weekend, does that allow you maybe to have 4 different starters? How does that kind of impact the way you handle things in the circle?
Yeah, definitely. And we've got a really deep pitching staff. So to be able to go, could we possibly have 4 starters? I think with the non-conference, it's going to allow us to see exactly how we want to use our pitchers and in what way. Maybe there might be some that are better coming in and being starters, others that come in, in middle, and others that close. Or maybe we'll find that each one of them has the ability to start, but certain pitchers really work well together and giving the opponent a tough time. I think I'm excited because we're not short on pitching. We have 5 pitchers that look completely different. So I think we're going to really force the opponent to have to prepare for 5. They're not going to be able to prepare for 2. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that's going to unfold, because I honestly don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet. And I don't think we'll know until we get into our season.
James Crapia, the Oregonian.
Yes, I certainly appreciate the perspective. I think we all can after the last year that we've all gone through, still going through. How do you get them though to also balance that appreciation with, you're the number 10 team in the country, And for the players who were part of this 2 years ago and having a degree of anger and fury still about that, and you play 14 games with top 3 teams, and that's more than a quarter of your schedule. And you're aspiring for very big things here. So that when the games do arrive, that passion and that, degree of retribution angle, I guess, from a couple of years ago comes out against top competition when those games arrive.
I think one thing, I think before COVID, there's times where you play opponents and you might have your team go into it a little, they might go into it and slack a little bit, which is not good. I think because of COVID, every game we're going to go into, we're going to treat it the same way. And we understand the pack and how difficult it is. And there's a reason why our athletes are here at Oregon, is because they want to play in the pack and they want to play that difficult competition. To me, the only way that we're going to be able to do what we want to do and end up postseason in Oklahoma City is to play a tough schedule and to understand how to beat tough teams. To me, in order for us to be great, we've got to beat great. So I think they look forward to the challenge. I think they totally accept it. I think this is a veteran team that understands that we're good. And I think you'll see them really go after those challenges and go after those Pac-12 teams.
Andrew Hobner, KZI.
Yeah, kind of to that point. I mean, is the offseason like you guys just had, is that easier or is that harder on your freshmen and your incoming players who, you don't get maybe the fall ball reps that you don't get the early preseason tournaments that you might. I mean, in a lot of ways, some of these kids are kind of getting thrown into the fire right there with Pac-12 play, or is that maybe better for them to have that opportunity?
I would tell you that this fall has been the hardest fall that they've had to do. Especially it's been the hardest on our freshmen because there's so much unknown as freshmen just coming into a normal year. Now you're a freshman coming into this COVID year. You're having to wear masks, you're getting tested. The normal experience that you would get in the dorms, you're not getting that experience. In the fall, we play eight games so they can get their feet wet, put our uniform on, play at our stadium. You don't get to do that. At the beginning of the year, before we do anything softball, we meet as a team, work with our compliance office, and we go on a team retreat because that bonding to me is the difference maker and allowing us to do what we want to do on the field. It's the things that we do off the field. And we did not get to do that, So there's a lot of bonding type things that we would normally do in the fall and experiences that they normally would have that they don't. And it's been hard on our freshmen. It's been hard. I think they've handled it very well, but I think they would tell you it's been hard. Do I think it's going to help them? Yes, because they kind of got thrown into it and have had to deal with a little bit of adversity. And I think it's going to make them appreciate our season and opening day that much more, just knowing what they've had to do in the fall.
Brandon Cameraman, KVAL.
Missy, I know she wasn't your player, but former Oregon softball player Sarah Jerome, got promoted as a bigger role with the Milwaukee Brewers organization. I just wonder what your thoughts are on that as the Oregon softball coach, but just as, opponent of softball and women growing in male-dominated sports. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm so excited for her because she got that job because she is totally qualified to handle that job and do great with it. That's what I love about it is she was hired because she is the person for the job. And I love seeing women that are able to do things that others don't think you can do. We are huge supporters of her and I will be following every step of the way. I love seeing women and their opportunities to empower and to do things that maybe others didn't think were possible. And she's showing you that anything's possible. So I'm a big fan. I'm going to be following. And I just think the message that she's giving to our athletes is, you know what, don't settle or limit yourself. If you want something, you work hard and you will get what you want.
Time for two more. James Crapia, the Oregonian.
Missy, ordinarily I'd be at practice and see this myself, but since we can't be, we don't have the time to go through the whole position group, but who's at shortstop? Is it Allie? Is it Rachel? If it is Allie, then who's at second? How is Shay physically and where is she? in the field. Just give us an update on some of the major personnel, Shea especially, and who's at short.
Yeah, I would tell you, obviously, we're still working through some things. And I think, I don't think I would go into the season and this is our starting lineup and it's not going to change. I think you're going to see some different looks from us in non-conference, no doubt. One thing I can start off with was Shea. She had a rough year. She was a little banged up last year and it didn't allow her to do what she needed to do. Shea is healthy and Shea is looking like herself. And I'm really excited for Shea to get to the opportunity to play and to play without pain. With Shea, you'll definitely see her behind the plate. She does an excellent job with our pitching staff. She's been swinging the bat really, really well. If she's somebody you might find in the middle of the lineup. I can also tell you with Shea, just being that versatile athlete, you'll see her at first as well. But those are things I would say to look for Shea. I think you look at our returners last year that were in the infield and seeing Mai over at first. I think you'll see Taya Bird, who's an incoming freshman for us that could play first, could also play short. She could even jump in at third. She's that athletic. Allie Bunker, she's our captain of our infield and does an excellent job at second. To me, that's the toughest position on the field, is to play second base. There's so many responsibilities that you have. So I think you'll see her spending a ton of time at second. But from there, if we wanted to move her to short, she can handle both. Like, she's just that great of an athlete. You'll see Alyssa Brito. She's an incoming freshman, right-handed hitter. Has got a lot of power, has got a cannon for an arm, has really, really good range. She's been spending a ton of time at shortstop. So I think between her, Allie, and Taya are the three that you would see there. Rachel Sid, she's been at third now for a couple years and she's been doing a great job. I think you'll see her also in the top of the lineup. I think she's done a good job of increasing her power and just having really great games at the plate. Haley Cruz, you'll see in center field. We have a couple different ones that are working in and out of left field. It could be Lexi Wagner. You could see a Deja. You can see there's some that are still kind of fighting for that spot. And same thing with right field. Last year, we started putting Ariel Carlson in right field last year, and she was still trying to get familiar with it. She spent a ton of time in the outfield this year, and I think you'll see her really shore up that position, whether she would play right field or possibly be a DH, but her swing looks great. She's hitting with a lot of power. So those are different views of what it could look like. I think when we get into non-conference, that's when we're going to have the opportunity to kind of play around with it a little bit and see if Allie Bunker is at second, then is it a Taya or is it a Alyssa Brito? You know what I mean? I think we just have some different, like some great combinations to work through, which is exciting to me because I think we're going to need this depth more than anything. You know, with COVID, you have a weekend, you come back, you test, and for some reason, say somebody is out. I mean, it's more important than ever that you have athletes that are traveling that are versatile and can play multiple positions. And even with a small lineup our first year, we were still versatile. And I think you'll see that versatility, but just the depth to go along with it. I think you guys will be real excited to watch this team.
Last question goes to Andrew Hobner, KZI.
Yeah, Missy, year one was what it was. Year two was COVID. I'd imagine you're hoping there's no plague of locusts or 1,000-year flood here in year three. On a personal level, are you excited for the possibility of kind of an uninterrupted, somewhat normal season for the first time at Oregon?
It would be kind of cool to have a normal year. I'm not going to lie. It'd be kind of cool. It hasn't been like real normal since I've got here, but you know what? I'll tell you, it's been worth every minute of it. I love this team. I love every day coming to the Jane and practicing with them. They have been so dedicated to following protocol and to just working so hard at practice and in the weight room that it's time. It's time to start season and let's see what we can do. And if we've got to deal with COVID, you know what? This team can handle it. I've told them, I think they are the most conditioned team in college softball to handle COVID. I don't know if there's anybody else that could handle it better than them, just with the different adversity that we've had to deal with. So they're excited. We're excited. I think you're going to see some really cool things from this team. And yes, if we could have one normal year, that would be perfect. So Andrew, if you can make that happen, I would love that.
I'm in the front pew every Sunday, Missy.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, that's all we have for you. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you, y'all. I appreciate it.
Good luck this season.
All right.